Alright, welcome back to Roguetech, and welcome back to your first playthrough. So, we got work done in the mech bay. We have our 4 mechs to drop. And yeah, we're gonna go to engineering before I forget. Because we do have the chance to upgrade. And I think, based on seeing how the morale system has been reworked, I think getting at least a couple morale upgrades is very much worth the time and money. Like, 225,000 for plus 2 morale is pretty respectable. And it takes 10 days. So, we would have 7 days left, and it would bring us 2 morale closer to getting the morale bonus per turn, even if we are not extravagant. I don't remember exactly what the morale bonus was. I just remember that it said something, and then it was less, and then, like, yeah, it's a little jank, but it's fine. It's fine. I do think that getting a little bit more morale going is probably a good idea. That, and doesn't the lounge unlock some other stuff? Beta pod. Okay. I see a trend here. I'm gonna revamp my decision, and I think getting the beta pod up and running is going to be more beneficial for the morale side of things. So that we can actually, A, start investing in the stuff that's morale and tech points, and B, get more that, like, because of the break points, it doesn't really, like, 2 morale is not really going to matter that much. Just because of the break points. Because 10 to 19 is the same, 20 to 29 is the same. So the only time that 2 morale is going to come in, from what I can tell, is if we're right there on the cusp anyway, which I don't think we will be. So I think we are going to work on beta pod, which means structural repair, which is this one? Yeah, this one. And this is 15 days and 85,000, but we got to do it eventually. Might as well do it now, and then we can revisit the beta pod versus whatever else after that's done. There is also argument to be made for more mech tech, especially since we are doing a lot of work in the mech bay. But, I mean, 10 days, 15 days, like, by the time that's significant enough to make a difference, we're already done with, like, most of the mechs. Because that's 25 days for, what, plus 2? Yeah, plus 2 mech tech. And, again, we're going to run out of the extravagant in 17 days anyway. Which we can look at this, and if we didn't drop on any missions and have to repair anything, we could definitely have the stealth and just about the Phoenix Hawk done and ready to start dropping next month. But obviously, we're probably going to take a little bit of damage each mission and have a little bit of repair work to do. But that's fine, as long as we're making steady progress on the Stealth and Phoenix Hawk as we keep the others relatively well repaired. That's completely fine. Real quick, taking a look at the mechs we're going to be dropping just before I go to the mission select. We have the Bushwhacker, which is not the fastest, not the slowest. It's pretty, like 5.7's quite average for mobility. But it's got some good firepower. It's got, you know, Guardian ECM. It's got AMS to keep it safe, so it's alright. It's alright. The Hunter is also only 5.7, but it doesn't have any of the things that made the Bushwhacker safer to run at 5.7, so it's probably going to go down pretty quick if we actually get into anything serious, like a battle or assassination mission or anything. Locust goes fast, and if it's not going fast, it probably dies very quickly. And then the Assassin also goes fast, and that's about it. But since we have 2 mechs that go fast, 1 fodder mech that we really don't mind punching out or exploding, and then the Bushwhacker, that means that we really don't want to drop in a mission that requires a lot of firepower, like an assassination, because the longer it takes you to kill the assassination target, or the escorts, whatever, is scarier, the more damage you take. So, assassination, not great if your biggest strength is mobility. Blackouts, it's debatable. Like, if the first point is either nothing or turrets, then yeah, having mobility instead of firepower is fine. If it's a hostile drop, it's basically a battle at that point. And it's a battle that your mobility might not be enough. The target acquisition, all you really have to do is go fast, get in the points, and once you're in the points, drop the beacon and then get to the evac point with at least one unit. So this is actually the type of mech loadout where target acquisition is actually kind of an easy mission. When you have, like one hefty high damage mech, primarily just so you can take down the turrets, because on first round of a target acquisition, like, there's turrets and there's a turret generator. In every target acquisition, there's always a turret generator. And your first order of business every time you drop in a target acquisition should always be to destroy the turret generator so that the turrets explode, so you're not dealing with them on top of the defender units. Other than that, you can kind of just run to the points as fast as possible, and once you've captured them all, evac. Break line of sight, break engagement, and just get out, if possible. So that's actually interesting. Destroy base, you kind of want firepower. If it has turrets, you have to deal with that. If it has defenders, you have to deal with that. And if you're just trying to get the money and get out, you have to do damage fast enough to destroy the buildings fast enough to not take more damage than it's worth. And we do have 2 target acquisitions. The battle is absolutely a horrible idea. Especially since it's a 1.5 skull, and we have zippy mechs. The defend base is interesting, because if our goal is to just accomplish the mission and not worry too much about killing stuff, having zippy mechs running around just dodging shots and not being destroyed is often enough. So that also is very much like doable and on my radar. So I think we are going to do the defend base first, because there's a good chance, again, with allies, with turrets, there's a good chance that we can get out of this without taking any damage, or if we do take damage, negligible damage, in which case we can get back up and running and drop some more. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to do that, and I think we're going to do it with less salvage and more money. Because we're not going to be able to kill a lot of mechs in those 10 rounds. We might not even be able to kill the Vanguard in 10 rounds. So even if there is something juicy and strong, we're not going to really be able to benefit from focusing it down, because we don't really have the tools to focus anything down. Meanwhile, if the allies basically win the mission themselves, that's a million C-bills, plus if they manage to win the mission before... but it's the defend base in the Badlands, where we don't have high ground, where we don't have... That's risky. But I think we do. I think that's exactly what we do. We drop the Assassin and we drop the Hornet. Yeah, there's no point to using Narf for his ability to drop reinforcements, because we don't have a mech in our mech bay to drop. So let's just continue dropping Sarge wherever. I really do like Disgraced. Even though now, since the morale is on the, Mechwarrior by Mechwarrior basis, or the Resolve, rather, I think that does actively hinder... Wait, Sarge also has Commanders, so the +1 morale and -1 morale cancel each other out, so yeah, never mind. We're good. That's fine. Let's get Sarge experience. Hellion, I think I'm just going to keep training on just the stealth. Holdra's kind of, we can drop wherever. I mean, the Hornet isn't a death trap, per se. But I definitely don't want to drop Narf in it because it might run hot, and it will run hot. Let me just correct that statement. It will run hot. Because we replaced the Ellerin with the large laser Tronal. But actually, none of them have, like, higher than 3 guts. So, one of the dangers of running hot on a mech, one of the dangers is you have to roll a guts check if you're overheating that might result in you getting burns if you don't resist the injury. Especially if you shut down. So, it might be worthwhile, well, first of all, to give Horik more tactics. And more piloting, because that actually gives the VTOL mobility. Alright. And we are increasing our financial report costs a little bit each time we level somebody up. Except for our commander. Oh man, Tainted Loki can actually get... Okay. Cautious on vehicles does nothing, basically. It's basically just +1 advanced sensors, +1 initiative. Max sight and sensor range is actually pretty interesting on long-ranged vehicles, but we're not going to do that. Leadfoot, if we keep dropping him in the tank, just +1 hex and +10% movement distance is actually really good. And obviously the other two don't do anything for vehicles, because vehicles can't brace, and vehicles don't take stability damage. So hard case is literally just 25% panic saves. But if we go Leadfoot, what would we wouldn't want either of those for a vehicle. Unless we're just planning on ramming people with the vehicle, but we're not. Max evasion doesn't really matter on the Chasseur, I don't think. Because I don't think it goes fast enough to, even with the Leadfoot, be able to get to 8 evasion. Much less past it. Bonus crit chance and bonus clustering is only interesting for the machine gun. AC-10 doesn't have recoil, does it? Does it? Oh wait, that's right, he counters recoil. He himself counters recoil. That's part of why we gave him the AC-10. Right? No? I could have sworn he doesn't have recoil in missions. Is it a tank quirk? Is it a quirk of the turret systems? +2 accuracy. Main battle tank. Minus 10% damage taken. 10% resistance to critical. Have we been firing the AC-10 with recoil this entire playthrough? Ah, here we go. Tracked propulsion system. Yeah, -2 recoil with ranged weapons. 10% resistance to critical hits. Yep, that's why. I was going to say, because I hadn't noticed refire penalty on any of our shots. Also, the fire control standard 2 giving us bonus crit chance is pretty cool. +1 tactics, yeah. Yeah. And then the tracks just, yeah. So, yeah, that's why we have no recoil. Unless we're firing the machine guns ×6. Regardless. So, yeah, we don't have to worry about recoil. Which, if we go back to Tainted Loki, that means we don't really care about the +6% called shot multiplier as the only thing we're getting out of a tier 3 or tier level 5 perk. The 25% crit chance is kind of interesting. I mean, AC-10s do have a decent crit chance just by default. The +0.5 to clustering is actually interesting for the machine gun, but that's about it. So no, I think we are going to go with Leadfoot. Try to get more mobility. More mobility, more, you know, better positioning. Yep. Yep. That's the plan. Alright. And then... yeah. You know what? Sure. Bonus resolve generation, as well as less likely to panic out, less likely to, you know... And then braver... Yeah, I mean, this is increasing our financial report costs. But at the same time, we are getting more effectiveness. And especially if we're planning on dropping on a lot more missions, as many missions as we can, as quickly as we can. Because again, that's how you get a wide variety of things to choose from while you're building and refitting mechs. Just dropping on more missions always gives you more stuff. And we're only at 882,000. So, like, between the stuff the money we've spent building things, and the increase to our financial costs, we still have enough to cover the end of the financial report for this month. Almost enough for a second month at Extravagant, which means if we don't go Extravagant, we will still very much have enough for the next financial report. And we're planning on dropping on at least a couple more missions by the end of the financial report. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that is the play. The stealth is definitely the higher priority than the Phoenix Hawk because A, the build is better in my opinion, just better. And B, it takes less time. And then C, and most importantly, we don't really have anyone well trained on the Phoenix Hawk yet, but we do have somebody that's getting up there with the stealth. So we want to get the stealth back in action, gaining more affinity as soon as possible. So that's that set. We've got engineering set. We don't need to go to navigation because we're still very much on an appropriate difficulty planet for our current rating. I mean, we do have the Copperhead. Oh! That is a consideration. You can drop tanks in the mech slots. You don't have to drop mechs in the mech slots. I think we're going to build the Mine Dispenser Copperhead. Alright. And then instead of dropping the Assassin and the Hunter, we're going to drop one or the other and the tank, and then if that one gets damaged, instead of wasting time repairing it when we have the other one available, we'll drop the other one. Or, you know, whatever. Yeah. So, now we've got 3 vehicles. And, I mean, again, this is the same armor and structure as the Locust. It's not nearly as maneuverable, but it also has more firepower. And even if it gets destroyed as soon as it fires off the Mine Dispenser, that's fine. That Mine Dispenser can actually do some serious work on light mechs. Oh, also, in case I forget to mention it when and if it happens, when a mine actually opens your armor and you take structure damage for the first time, it actually stops your movement in that hex where it detonated and opened your armor. As long as they didn't change that, but it's very useful for throwing around like a 20-ton mech and then having their leg open up and they stop moving right at the beginning of their movement, and then they have no evasion. You could finish them off very easily. All right, cool. So we actually have, I think we have more than enough firepower. Who do we have that can pilot tanks? Rusalka, Tainted Loki, our commander, Horik, and Braver. And that's it. Yeah, okay. Alright. I really do like Reckless and Lucky, but do we maybe fire Huldra to pick up somebody else who can run tanks? Who do we have in the hiring hall that can run tanks? McWraith? Military Mechwarrior? It's not terrible. It's not great. But he can pilot tanks and mechs. And then Taboo has Juggernaut. Which, again, does nothing on tanks and is only criminals. So we're definitely not hiring Taboo. Do we hire McWraith just because he can pilot tanks? Or do we keep investing in the Reckless Lucky Mechwarrior that we have? I think we keep investing in Huldra. Because yes, in the interim, in the beginning of the game, where we're trying to run more tanks, it would be better to have other people that could run tanks and mechs. But at the same time, like, we actually already have... Like, if we drop Rusalka and the Locust again... Or we could actually drop Braver in the Locust, because of his recoil thing. The Locust will be more vulnerable, but that also means we could get more evasion on one of the vehicles. Specifically, I'm kind of thinking about the Mockingbird here. Because we could put Horik in the tank we just built. Where his, you know, less than stellar stats don't really matter, and his lack of anything interesting as far as, you know, quirks go doesn't matter. He just fires off the mines and then maybe does a little bit more to help before he explodes. And even if he dies, I'm not super sad about it, because he's literally just the same as McWraith, and I can literally just go to the hiring hall and hire McWraith to replace him completely. So I think we are going to put Rusalka in the Mockingbird, and then we're going to put Braver in the Locust. That way we make best use possible out of... Not Sarge, Rusalka. That way we make the best use possible out of the quirks we have. And again, since the Mockingbird... I haven't said it now, but I've said in the past. The Mockingbird gets a bonus to accuracy because of its elevation. Because it's guaranteed unless it's fighting another VTOL or another Lamb or something else that's flying. Or just firing up a mountainside. It's always going to have an accuracy bonus for high elevation, which will offset the accuracy penalty there. And plus 3 evasion when it's already getting 10 evasion. So we're going to be able to have 13 evasion with our VTOL. That's pretty good. Like, that's really good. And actually, that reminds me, why do we get so much evasion with the VTOL? VTOL propulsion. If the component is destroyed, the whole unit will be killed. +1 defense. +1 accuracy with ranged weapons, just period, for being a VTOL. Yeah, okay. Alright. And then... accurate weapons. Cool. So yeah, we actually can hit more reliably than with everyone. So the weapons we do have will be more effective with that distribution. And again, it's 4 medium lasers, but then also the bomb clusters. And again, the bomb clusters, we don't necessarily care about getting direct hits with. They're still going to do something, regardless of what we're hitting. Like, they're still going to do something as long as they're somewhere close. So yeah, I definitely think the Copperhead is going to be... The Copperhead is going to be... What's his name? The Horik. Horik is going to go in the Copperhead. Rusalka is going to go in the Mockingbird. Braver is going to go in the Locust. And I'm actually going to save that till tomorrow. So we're going to end the episode today by just looking and deciding. Now that we know, we will have the Mockingbird getting 13 evasion. we will have the ability to leave the Hornet home and bring the Assassin, Locust, and Bushwhacker. At which point we will definitely be able to take down... Actually, do we even need the Bushwhacker? Because our commander can pilot a vehicle. So we could actually drop, without anything we care about losing at all, on the target acquisitions. And best case scenario, we complete the target acquisition successfully, get paid, maybe get a couple pieces salvage, whatever. And worst case scenario, we have repairs on mechs we don't really care that much about to begin with. I think that's what we're going to do. I think tomorrow we're going to do a target acquisition and have a good time doing it. And depending on how the first one goes, we might just immediately do the second one, like, as soon as fatigue wears off, and just do the same thing with a bunch of vehicles and mechs that, if they get busted up, okay, for the next one we just replace it with the Bushwhacker. Yeah. But for now, that's been your episode of Roguetech for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, have a good one.